Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. Today, the Avatar, Part 4. Sri Aurobindo. Then, as to the Avatar and the symbols, there is, it seems to me, a cardinal error in the modern insistence on the biographical and historical, that is to say, the external factuality of the Avatar, the incidents of his outward life. What matters is the spiritual reality, the power, the influence that came with him, or that he brought down by his action and his existence. First of all, what matters in a spiritual man's life is not what he did or what he was outside, to the view of the men of his time. That is what historicity or biography comes to, does it not? But what he was and did within. It is only that that gives any value to his outer life at all. It is the inner life that gives to the outer any power it may have. And the inner life of a spiritual man is something vast and full, and, at least in the great figures, so crowded and teeming with significant things that no biographer or historian could ever hope to seize it all or tell it. About the question of the Avatar, I do not think it is useful to press in the matter. It has become very much the tendency, especially in Bengal, to regard the Guru as the Avatar. To every disciple, the Guru is the divine, but in a special sense, for the Guru is supposed to live in the divine consciousness, to have attained union. And when he gives to the disciple, it is the divine that gives. And what he gives is the consciousness of the divine who is within the Guru. But that and avatarhood are two different things. It is mostly in East Bengal recently that those have come who were acclaimed as avatars. Those who came had each of them the idea of a work to be done for the world, and the sense of a divine power working through them, which shows that there was a pressure for manifestation there, and something came in each case, for something of the divine power always comes when it is called. But it does not look as if there was anywhere the complete descent. It is this that may have created the idea that the Avatar was born there. It has always been said of the advent that is to come now, that there would be many in whom it would seem that it had come, but the real Avatar would work behind a veil until the destined hour came. Question: is it true that the Avatar is the full manifestation of the divine Vibhuti? Sri Aurobindo, if you consider it from the earth's point of view. But it may be truer to say that the avatar holds himself back and manifests as a vibhuti in many lives till the time comes for his manifesting as the avatar. In Krishna's time, no disciple of his was a greater spiritual figure than the preceding avatar, Rama, even though Krishna was an avatar of a higher plane. It is not a question of Sri Krishna's disciples, but of the earth consciousness. Rama was a mental man. There is no touch of the overmind consciousness direct in anything he said or did. But what he did was done with the greatness of the avatar. And then another quote from Sri Aurobindo. I don't know about avatars. Practically what I know is that I had not all the powers necessary when I started. I had to develop them by yoga. At least many of them, which were not in existence in me when I began. And those which were, I had to train to a higher degree. My own idea of the matter is that the avatar's life and action are not miracles. And if they were, his existence would be perfectly useless, a mere superfluous freak of nature. He accepts the terrestrial conditions. He uses means. He shows the way to humanity as well as helps it. Otherwise, what is the use of him, and why is he here? I was not always in the overmind, if you please. I had to climb there from the mental and vital level. On the other hand, you write that in, quote, the avatar, the divinely born man, the real substance shines through the coating. The mark of the seal is there only for form. The vision is that of the secret Godhead. The power of the life is that of the secret Godhead, and it breaks through the seals of the assumed human nature. Essays on the Gita. The divine does not come down in that way. It is a silly imagination of yours that you are trying to foist on the truth of things. The divine also comes down into the cycle of rebirths, makes the great Holocaust, endures shame and obloquy, torture and crucifixion, the burden of human nature, sex and passion and sorrow and suffering, manifests many births before he reveals the avatar. And when does he reveal it? Well, read the lives of the avatars and try to understand and see. Question: how is it that later avatars often find fault with the actions and movements of their predecessors? Sri Aurobindo: who finds fault with whom? I have not found fault with any avatar. To discern what they expressed and what they did not express is not to find fault. The avatar need have no theoretical knowledge from above. He acts and thinks whatever the divine within him intends that he should act and think for the work. The avatar takes upon himself the nature of humanity in his instrumental parts, though the consciousness acting behind is divine. Question. Throughout the history of human evolution, we see that the avatar brings light into the world. But when he retires, very little of this light remains. There is no substantial change. Does the divine will it to be so? Sri Aurobindo. You have only to consider what the state of humanity would have been if Krishna and others had not come. They would have been still near to the beast, with no openings on the heights of the spirit. The descending power, avatar, chooses its own place, body, time for the manifestation. Buddha never said he was an avatar of a personal God, but that he was the Buddha. It is the Hindus who made him an avatar. If Buddha had looked upon himself as an avatar at all, it would have been as an avatar of the impersonal truth. I suppose very few recognized him, Krishna, as an avatar. Certainly it was not at all a general recognition. The avatar is not bound to do extraordinary actions, but he is bound to give his acts or his work, or what he is, any of these or all, a significance and an effective power that are part of something essential to be done in the history of the earth and its races. No, certainly not. An avatar is not at all bound to be a spiritual prophet. He is never, in fact, merely a prophet. He is a realizer, an establisher, not of outward things only, though he does realize something in the outward also, but, as I have said, of something essential and radical, needed for the terrestrial evolution, which is the evolution of the embodied spirit through successive stages towards the divine.